Welcome to Thez Nutz Garage, and today we're going to be back out here working on the 1978 F350. And in our last video, what you've seen, we had it sandblasted. So what we got to do now is we've got to get our frame POR15, I'll say. And what we first got to do is I'm going to go through the same process as I would if I had sanded this down with a metal brush and try to clean it that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the POR15 Degreaser, and then I'm going to use their metal etch. And then what we'll do is I'll let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow what I'm going to do is we will apply our POR15 to the frame. All right, so here's the frame. In the last video, you've seen at the very end, I unloaded this thing and I got it out here in my driveway. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply the POR15 Degreaser. And what this is it's 4 parts hot water and 1 part degreaser. So I've already mixed that up in this jug back here, and basically I used a plastic cup. I put 4 of them little plastic cups in this jug, and then 1 cup of this degreaser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the frame with this pump here. I'm just going to try to keep it wet for about 15 minutes, and then I'll go in and rinse the frame off thoroughly with just regular water. All right, so now what we're going to do is going to use this POR15 metal prep. Now, reading the directions on the back, it says that we're putting it on bare metal. Like I said, we've had this frame sandblasted, and we just cleaned it with the POR15 degreaser. And then this is the next step, is to apply this metal prep. And it says if you are putting it on bare metal, it says it right here on the back, to keep it wet for 10 to 20 minutes. Now, if you're putting it on a frame that you used maybe a wire brush and to get a lot of the rust and stuff off, it says keep it wet for 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is basically what I did in the previous video. I have this in my pump sprayer. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around the frame for about the next 10-15 minutes, trying to keep it wet and spraying this all over the frame and all the nooks and crannies and underside and all of that. And then after that, we're just supposed to rinse it off with the garden hose with the water again, and then let the frame completely dry. And what we'll do is I'll set it up tonight in my garage, and I'll put some fans on it to help dry the frame out overnight. And then, like I said, tomorrow morning, I'll get up and we'll start applying our POR15 to this frame. So let's get started spraying this on the frame, and well, let's get started. We ain't got time to talk. All right, so it's the next morning, and this the previous video that you just saw there. I was spraying the POR15 metal prep all over the frame. Since I've had this frame sandblasted, it recommended on bare metal that you keep the metal wet for 10 to 20 minutes. So I did that, just kept spraying it. But if you're doing another, like your own frame, and you don't have it sandblasted and you clean it with wire brushes and stuff like that, it says keep the metal wet for about 30 minutes. So after I sprayed the frame down, I took a garden hose and rinsed all that off of the frame. And then my next step was I got a leaf blower and just started blowing this frame off. I blew it off for about 30 minutes. But I knew I was gonna let my frame sit overnight and completely dry, but I wanted it to get as much of it off while the sun was still up, so that way 99% of it was gone before I ever put it back in the garage. So shortly after I took the leaf blower to the frame and blew it off, the frame started flash rusting, which is kind of what I wanted it to do. And I know you're kind of thinking, well, why did you go have it sandblasted if you were just gonna want some rust on it? Well, a couple of reasons why I had it sandblasted. One was to get rid of all the old dirt and grease and grime that was in all the nooks and crannies that was just hard to get to with a brush. So, and then the second reason was I wanted it to be just a smooth, blank surface when I started putting my POR15 on the frame. Now, being that it's flash rusted, it's actually helped with it's going to help with the application of the POR15. And the reason why is POR stands for paint over rust. POR15 likes a little rust when you put it on your frame or whatever metal that you're putting it on. So it's kind of flash rusted, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the frame and how it looks, and then what we'll do is I'll get my POR15 cans that I'm going to use to paint with, and then we'll get started on that. Alright, so here's my sketchy setup I got going on here. Now, this is the frame, and right now the frame is kind of a light tan, almost kind of like a goldish color in a way, but this is how I have it set up. The top part of the frame here that you see is actually the bottom of the frame. I just have it flipped over. What I'm going to try to do is get at least 2 coats of POR15 on this frame before I let it dry and flip it over. And once I flip it over, I can go, which would actually technically be the top side of the frame, I can go and kind of touch up any places that I missed from the, because it's on the bottom. But that's the plan, is to get 2 coats of POR15 on this today. So let's get over here and I'll show you about the cans of POR15 that I'm using. Alright, so now what I want to do is I'm going to show you what I'm going to be using during this POR15 application. And basically what I bought was a 6-pack of POR15. And then basically what it is it's 6 little bitty cans like this, right here. These are 4-ounce cans. And why I did that is because they say when you take this top off, if you don't do something to maybe put like a piece of cellophane in there, or maybe a piece of aluminum foil, I don't know, just something in between the lid and the can, when you re-put the cap back on, what it'll do is it will basically seal this can together and you're not going to open it up. So by buying a little 6-pack, it allows me to open up what I need as I need it. Because if I only use 4 cans, I get to keep 2 cans for later application when I'm doing I still have some brackets and some cross members and things like that I need to have cleaned and put the POR15 on them. So what that's going to do is leave me some left to do those later on. Now, this is basically a little paint can opener. You can get these anywhere, Walmart, Lowe's, probably Dollar General has these things. And if they don't, well, they should. It's the dollar store, and that's probably what this costs. The next thing I'm going to use is some gloves. And you see I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, and today it is hot, so wearing a long sleeve shirt is not my ideal thing. But if you don't want that POR15 on your skin, because once it gets on there, it takes a long time for that stuff to ever come off. You can either have long sleeves on and wear some gloves while you're doing this, because you don't want to get it on your fingernails, on your fingers, because it's not coming off for anytime soon. It does say you need to have a well ventilated area. I have my garage door open and I have a fan in the window that I'm just going to kind of circulate air through here. So I'm going to try not to wear this as much if I keep it well ventilated, but if I'm getting any scent from this POR15, I will put this on. It's so hot today. And yesterday the sandblasting, it's kind of messed with my sinuses. So the next thing you're going to need, a bunch of these. These are just little foam brushes You don't need a brush with bristles on it. I mean, I guess you could paint the frame with a spray gun, but I don't want to do that because I don't want this stuff messing up any kind of spray gun that I might have. Even though it's cheap, I still don't want to mess it up. So what I'm going to do is use these brushes, and I bought a handful of these things. I probably got 8 or 9, 10 of them, and you're going to need them. And basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this can, and I got a handy dandy yellow pencil, and I'm just going to stick down in the can and just kind of slowly turn it until I get that POR15 all mixed up. More than likely, this has been sitting for a while, and I guarantee you it's all settled at the bottom. So you want to make sure that this is stirred up really well. And I can't remember if this is the one that you don't want to get a lot of air into it. So you don't want to just get going and just get a bunch of air inside of that, because if it's this one, or there's some kind of chemical like this, if you get a lot of air in it, it will kind of make it start drying faster while it's in the can. So if I'm correct, tell me, yeah, that's right. And if I ain't, comment down below which product that was that you can't get a lot of air into it. But I'm gonna go with the idea that I can't get a lot of air into it. So I'm gonna mix this up really easy and get it stirred up really good. And then what I'll do is put it on time lapse, and then I'll get my first coat on, and then I'll come back, show you how it looks, and I'll put my second coat on. So let's get started. Alrighty, so right now I don't have a glove on this hand because of the camera situation. But what I did is, my brush was kind of too wide to go in that little bitty can. So what I did is I just got an old plastic cup, and one that I don't ever plan on using again, and I basically just poured that in here. And what I'm gonna do, they say this is like water, so I wanna kinda move quick. It's kinda like water, like a stain consistency. So you want to put at least two thin coats on this frame, or whatever project you're doing. And I'm not going to show you me doing this whole entire frame like this. I would just want to show you kind of how to apply it a little bit. With these sponge brushes, you can kind of dab them in certain areas that may be kind of hard to get to, and then kind of brush them out like that. Like maybe in the cracks, you can really get in there like that and dab them around. Like on the edge a little bit. But that helps you get a really good coat, and in cracks and crevices where it may be hard to get a regular brush into. And this frame definitely has some of those little nooks and crannies in between all these frame leaf spring holders and all of that stuff. So I need to make sure I could get into all that. But so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna put you on time lapse, and I'm gonna do this frame. So this, what I've done here, that is 1 4-ounce can of POR15. The pack that I bought comes with 6 of those, and I'm thinking that it's going to take me at least 6 cans to put 1 coat on this frame. So I'm going to have to order at least 1 or 2 more packs of those POR15 in the small cans, so that way I know I got enough to do the whole frame 2 times, and enough to do my other parts that need to be done. So what I'm going to do is come back when I've got all of it, as much of it painted in, and I'll check back then. All right, so here's the frame. I flipped the frame back over. This is actually the way it'll go when I reassemble the truck. These are the top of the spring and shock towers. I did run out of this POR15. I used 6 little cans on here, and I ran out just a little bit short. So I've ordered some more, and as soon as that comes in, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and finish this up, put on my second coat, And then the next video on this frame will be when I actually paint it. So. Alright, so that's going to be the end of this video, and basically what we've done in this little short video series is we have had our frame sandblasted, and then I came home, I used the POR15 degreaser, then I rinsed it off. I also used the POR15 metal prep, rinsed it off really well. I've dried it with a leaf blower and let it sit overnight, so this frame was completely dry. Your frame has to be, or the metal you're working on has to be 100% bone dry, as the directions say. So this morning all we did was we started out with the small cans, made sure we stirred them up really well, and I started out using these little foam brushes. It worked pretty good, but they're cheap, they want to tear them apart. So what I did is I started using some cheap paint brushes, and these seem to work just as well as this. The POR15 laid down pretty smooth on the frame, whether I was using this or this. There really wasn't any brush strokes or anything in the frame or in the POR15. Once it sits there, it levels out pretty good. What I'm gonna do now is, as soon as the rest of the POR15 comes in the mail, I'll finish up this frame, put my second coat on it, and then the next video that we'll be doing is actually painting this frame. I haven't decided 100%, do I want to paint this frame like a flat black? Do I want to paint it like a flat silver? Comment down below what color you think I should paint this thing. I'm kind of torn and I haven't bought the paint just yet. So if you'd like to support these nuts, hurrah, hit that like button right there for this video, and then right after that, go over there and hit the subscribe button, and right next to that is a little bell. If you'll click that little bell, every time we upload a video to YouTube, they will notify you that we've uploaded a video. Then after that, comment. If you've ever used POR15 and you liked it, comment that. If you've used it and you didn't like it, you had bad luck with it, because I've heard stories either way, comment that down below. If you like a different brand, comment that down below, because somebody's going to be watching this video trying to determine whether they should use this or another product, and your comments will help them make the right decision. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. It's very hot and I'm sweating, and I'm ready to get in here and get a shower. So y'all have a blessed day.